Cordkillers are reckoning. The world of entertainment is turned upside down, and we're just trying to figure out how to watch all the stuff, the what we want, when we want, on whatever darn device we please. I'm Brian Brushwood. Where's the good stuff? Meryl Barr.
I'm back! Hey,
Yeah.
what's up? That's right. Meryl Barr has made his return to Cordkillers. There will not be a bigger story in the next 24 hours than Meryl J. Barr making his triumphant nothing could trump this story. There is not a bigger story than this.
And of course we have Amos. How are you, Amos?
I am well. I am not nearly as excited as Meryl is, but I'm here.
We're of course going to do our best to Voltron up and be some kind of proto version of a Tom Merritt who is out on vacation. But I guess we should start by making a supply run.
Let's do it.
Supply run, supply run, supply run.
There we go. Disney Plus introduced a Top 10 Today feature that highlights the most popular shows and movies on the platform, similar to Netflix's approach. This daily updated list appears on the home screen, displaying content that's trending by the region. The ranking factors in recent viewer engagement, just like all the other guys. New title popularity, just like all the other guys. Users can see distinct lists depending on their subscription type, such as whether they have their plans bundled with Hulu or they're in the junior mode, what have you. The current list in the U.S. as of late October 24, that's now, included a bunch of Halloween seasonal content. In other words, it's exactly what you would expect. It's a top 10 list that's algorithmically generated. And the first thing I thought of when I read this was Meryl Barr, because you know a little bit about the voodoo and science and the importance of when they're manually placed, how people place those items in the front page whenever you go to a streaming service.
This is 100% necessary. Every single streamer needs them. It's a fact of life. Like, it's because this is how you solve, one of the ways you solve the issue of unlimited choice is that people log in. And I mean, there are so many case examples of movies that came out in like 6-7 years ago that were moderately successful, even put outright bombs in some cases. They just didn't hit at the theaters, and then all of a sudden they're the #1 movie on Netflix. Like, I think of things like Patriot Day, which was the Mark Wahlberg movie about the Boston City bomber. I think Hitman's Bodyguard was top there.
Hang on. That certainly speaks to the importance of having that billboard space. I mean, certainly, as I think of it, water flows downhill. You know, people are going to take the easiest route possible. Specifically, do you suppose there's talk a bit about the when a human decides, how they decide who to make or break in those decisions?
So there's a lot of different, every site does it a different way. Like when I was working at Crackle before that, when that was a thing, we literally were, and Pluto for that matter, when I worked at Pluto, it was the same thing. Some sections of the site were done by just literally being the algorithm. What was the top 10, watch thing? Let's just update the sheet. But then there is also, what are the needs of the ads? What are the needs of the distributor? What are the needs of the licensing? Did we pay for this movie? Are we on an ad share? Are we on a rev share, rather, deal? So it's like if you're on a deal where you license the film, and so you have to make that money back, you're far more likely to put that movie higher on those lists than the rev share movies, where it doesn't matter how it, like, you get whatever your percentage of whatever it does, right? So you're not out of pocket.
In this case, the you is the people who control the platform, who decide what the billboard looks like, and
Correct.
The revenue they would make. I mean, I would think that putting the content on there, the more people watch it, the more that costs them. But like
that's, I mean, you're talking about, you mean bandwidth? You're talking about bandwidth in that case?
Yeah, or I don't know. Like, what is the expense? Like, in a weird way, you want to have the hottest movies, and if you're paying for them, you want to advertise them, and you want it to be a billboard. Like, aren't you glad you booted up Netflix Disney
Yeah,
Plus,
oh, no,
what
yeah,
have you.
no, like if you, but it depends on the type. Again, this goes back to the type of deal. So let's say I'm Pluto, right? And so let's pick a non-Paramount movie. Let's pretend the Jason Bourne films. Let's go with the first one, right? So I buy I'm Paramount. I'm Pluto, owned by Paramount, and I license from Universal the first Jason Bourne film. Universal's not going to give that to me on an ad share system or rev share system where we just split the ad revenue. They're going to want me to pay out of pocket a direct fee to license that film for Pluto. So now I'm incentivized as Pluto to want to make that money back as quick as possible. But because I'm keeping 100% of that ad revenue because I paid a license fee to Universal rather than giving Universal a piece of my advertising money.
Got it. Okay, so the ad revenues make sense for me. What's the calculus look like on a prestige streaming service like an Apple TV? I guess Apple owns all their originals, but they also license stuff like or Disney. Like, wouldn't they have to pay more if more people watched? It
depends on
the content.
No, that's entirely.
It depends on the deal.
It depends on the deal. Licensing deals are a flat fee. Here's Universal. Here's your money for Jason Bourne. I will be showing Jason Bourne on my platform.
Got it. So then you definitely want to make hay while the sun is shining. You want that to be right there front and center.
Right. And whereas if it's a rev share deal, which are more common for lower level distributors, it's so if you have a low scale film like a documentary or something, oftentimes those are rev share deals where we will split me and the distributor will split the money made on the advertising. But that means I have less of an incentive as the platform to push it because I'm not out of pocket any money, right? It's just going to be, there's a few extra cents came in today. Great. But I didn't lose any money, on spending money on the licensing deal to get the film. That's the trade-off, right? You can have the popular movies. They're going to cost you though.
Yeah. Well, so now we are introducing an algorithmically driven version of this, which, number one, I assume they're not exactly in the business of publishing how the algorithm works outside of say, it's what people like. And I'm sure they have some kind of sauce, but it's not like all the services use the same. I mean, give or take, they're similar, but they're not going to be the same.
Well, number one, and this story is about Disney Plus. And so to be clear, there's already there's already some kind of algorithm on those bigger ones. They're already running some type of algorithm. But as I understand it, this not about top 10 that's being watched in real time? So it's like this is the top 10 most watched. Is it not just like Netflix's top 10?
It pretty much is.
Right.
And in fact, if we don't know the details, we can assume it's pretty close.
So then in this case, what I think this is about is there is a user thing too of like I think you want a mix of both. You want curated lists of like, okay, this is like what they're pushing right now. This is what, for whatever reason, this is like a new thing they want me to check out. But you also kind of want the automatically algorithmically generated top 10 because it's like, this is what the world is watching right now. And if I want to be caught up on the zeitgeist, I better make sure I watch it too.
Well,
right?
So, Amos, speak to that as from your experience as a consumer.
Well, my after listening to Meryl, I wonder if there's value add to hiding the ones that they've picked in the actual algorithm, or if there's if as a consumer I would be more tempted to trust it if I didn't know that there was that it was a weighted choice. But I will say that, when I pop on a service, I'm not really a dedicated watcher to most things. So I'm usually, if I'm in the mood to watch TV, I'm trying to find something new to watch. And I'm all the time using the algorithms or what I think is the algorithm to, provide ideas on what I want to watch. And I've noticed that mine, like on Netflix, is different than my wife's, vastly different.
Well, so I guess really there are only three flavors of, or three methods by which something ends up in front of your face. Either a human somewhere says we need to push this for reasons, whether they're personally convinced it's the next big thing or what have you. Two, there's the curated for you based on your viewing habits. We see that you got most of the way through this series. You're probably going to want to finish The Wire, Brian Brushwood. But this third one is pure social proof. Is that right, Meryl?
Yeah, it's just it's ratings, right? These are the most watched items on the platform right now. So if you want to, it's like, which is also just, yeah, it's the social proof of like, everyone else seems to like it. Maybe you'll like it too, right? It's not, we're not, pinpointing this thing just for you. It's everyone else seems to like it. So perhaps you will too. And I argue that more films have been discovered through the Netflix top 10 than any other method on their site. Like, I think it is that social proof of the top 10. And I think other platforms adopting it is not only a good thing, but I argue vital.
Well, and I do think it's interesting to speculate on in this age where we're all seeing the dawn of AI generated content. And in fact, I'm already beginning to see it on the YouTube channel where somebody can't be bothered to solve one of the riddles on the Scam Nation channel. So they clearly asked ChatGPT, and it just like they commented a block of just no paragraph breaks. Like the answer is obviously a fencing shoe. A fencing shoe is used for this and is reinforced with metal because of so and so. And I'm just like, okay. So knowing that everything is going to be increasingly non-zero chance of being a robot, I would imagine that this move by Disney, and it's speculation on my part, would be pure like, this is what other humans like you are definitely watching. And you can trust it because we're not pushing it. It's not made algorithmically for you. This is what other people are choosing to watch. Would you like to watch that?
Yeah. I think it's, again, I think you absolutely need that as a platform in general at this point. You need, you want to know what the world is watching, right? You do. Like, you want to know everyone else is in on this. Okay, do I need to, even if you choose not to, it's still vital to know that, like, it got, other people like that. Okay, if I'm saying no to this, I'm actively choosing to buck the trends of the world.
Let's take a quick detour and talk about like, I don't know that I really thought too much about how much I care that everybody else has seen a thing. And as I was telling Amos, there's only one type of streaming online content that I could think of that nobody cares what other people like, and they don't want to talk about it with their friends. But outside of that, I think you're right, Meryl. I think that now that I think about it, there are movies that I've gone and seen just so that I will be able to talk about it with other people.
Right. And look, I would also say that you, me, Amos, we are not the atypical consumer, like our typical consumer, I should say. The typical consumer is turning on Netflix and going, Netflix is pushing this, cool, but then there's that top 10. They're like, oh yeah, that, and let me use Patriots as an example because that was one for me of like, oh yeah, that Mark Wahlberg, movie about the bombing. Like, oh yeah, I remember the trailer for that. Hey, let me check that out. Like, and then it was the #1 movie on Netflix for a while. Like, and there's a whole slew of examples like that.
Now,
go ahead, Amos.
Brian, how much of this would be gained or lost by actually parsing out the different things? Like, here's a list of stuff in your region. Here's what's new here that we've curated for you, and here's just purely based on the algorithm, based on your viewing habits. Would there be any value to that, or would that just obfuscate it to the point of unusability?
Well, now we get into the slider bars of preferences, right? Like, there are people who really hearken back to the good old days, and at times I do as well, when there was no choice. There were 3 channels, and you're going to take whatever we got. And the good news is everybody else saw the exact same stuff, so you have this shared commonality across the board.
The water coolers were ready to go.
Yeah, exactly, right? I could see a world where it's like, I personally would love to know, like, what number of mine have they gotten at all times? It's like, well, yeah, that's the top 10 of everything, but it's like, I don't want to watch what babies are watching. By babies, I mean anyone under 30. It's like, I want to. Let
me frame it like this. Without the Netflix top 10, I don't think Suits is the global phenomenon that happened last summer. Like,
I agree.
I think that is specifically because enough people had watched it that it eked into the top 10, and then more people were like, "Oh yeah, that thing on USA. I kind of remember the trailer for that."
On top of that, I'm convinced that it was the feature that everybody says they hate about Netflix, which is the autoplay of the trailer. Like there was one, from what I understand, Suits is a fine show, but it's not groundbreaking or whatever. But that one clip that they showed out of context, I remember turning on and thinking, "Ooh, this looks good." And then I Googled it and I was like, I'll take a pass.
I'm going to abstain from judging on Suits, considering I was the post PA on the spinoffs, and they gave me my first job in Hollywood. So I'm saying Suits is a wonderful show.
Okay,
But,
all right.
I will take another angle and say that I personally love the autoplay trailers on Netflix.
But my point being that, like, it was a show that, look, I covered Suits as a TV critic in the original run. It did fine numbers for me. It was like, it did well. It was like, it did okay. And right around the time that the whole Meghan Markle stuff started to happen is when I actually saw my readership start to plummet for people wanting to watch recaps for it around season 6. You know, everyone attributes the Meghan Markle being why the show pops so huge. And I'm like, I get that there's like an obsession with the royal family. I get it, but I don't think that alone leads to what we saw last summer with that show and its resurgence in popularity, or really the first time it receiving true popularity. I think it was that it was 9 seasons of a show that no one really watched because it came out in the dying era of cable when everyone was cord cutting.
And that is, I think there is something to be said about kind of a dam ready to burst of solid and consistent content waiting for the right opportunity. Now, keep in mind, these words are coming from somebody who just over the weekend, on Saturday, no, I guess on Sunday, literally yesterday, Modern Rogue is having one of those dam break moments on the shorts of we hit the biggest number of views that we've ever had in a day, and it seems to be happening. So I certainly hope that this is a known phenomenon that can keep on happening with Suits. Another phenomenon that I hope will happen forever and ever and ever is that people will keep us loud, live, and independent over at patreon.com/Cordkillers. That's right, patreon.com/Cordkillers. You get early access and exclusive access to stuff like our After Talk segment where you're not going to believe this, we talk. That's where we hide our spoiler in time segment. And boy, oh boy, are we actually going to put our money where our mouth is, your money where our mouth is, and I am going to actively spoil for Amos how Only Murders in the Building ends because he couldn't be bothered to finish the last episode.
But you know what? You'll find out exactly how I react in our spoiling time section in After Talk, only for patrons. So patreon.com/Cordkillers. You get that. You also get mini killers when we can't just be bothered to do an episode.
First of all, the last mini killers that we did with you and me was maxi killers. We only made it halfway through our list. It ended up being as long as a full episode. And it's all thanks to our proud patrons, patreon.com/Cordkillers. Shall we organize a search party?
Yeah, we can do that.
Amos, stop me if you've heard this one before, but Squid Games has a new trailer.
Stop there.
As we've reported on, I believe monthly for the past year, we are getting close to actual Squid Game 2, and I did my duty. Normally, my job is to really intend to watch the Squid Game trailer, learn nothing, and then say so. But we learned quite a bit. It looks like they're tinkering with the game dynamics. They build up to the big reason that our hero is doing it a second time. Meryl, did you see this trailer?
I did see the trailer. I hope. Look, there is a fear I have of. I thought. Actually, wait. I can't talk about this because I was on the show. I'm already on record for this. I watched the show, and when I watched it, I was like, "It's good. It's good. I like it. It's nothing." I thought it was like, but I remember I can remember it was me or you looked at Tom, who was a frequenter of Korean television, and we said, so is this like worthy of the global phenomenon praise it's receiving? And he goes, no. Like, basically meaning there are way better Korean dramas out there, but everyone locked in on this one. And what I wonder is this going to be a classic case of this was made outside of anyone's purview, and then it came out and everyone fell in love with it, and now it's going to get tweaked to death, right? Because now everyone's seeing it.
Well, no. Well, keep in mind, I think that the strength of the first season was the novelty of the simplicity of the game, and the storytelling was good. But in the second season, they did not write the first season intending for there to be a second. But it was so popular that they figured out how to have a second season. And
but that is there is like a very clear ending though of like, we're gonna go take them down now. Like,
exactly, and take it down from within. So as a result, in this trailer, we're seeing hints of a stage of revolution, but there's also a bunch of like you could tell that they get to one of my favorite things is when a mechanic is established and then people start tinkering with it, where they directly address fan theories and stuff like, well, why don't they just blank? And it's like, character tries blank, and then this terrible thing happens, and it's exactly why.
But like, look, it's a totally good trailer. I thought it was like it's delivering. It's hey, more Squid Game. Cool. See you in December. End of.
You feel the same. You feel the same way about the Severance trailer?
Severance is another show where I'm like, it's good. It's good.
Oh no!
Like
okay, all right.
Like, and
Amos, you got to mute Meryl's mic. Amos, what did you think of the Severance trailer?
Let me tell you how my new year is going to go, Brian. Right after Christmas, we're going to get Squid Game season 2, and I'm going to just binge that all the way through. Then I'm going to go to CES the first like full week of January. I'm going to come back from that, and right about the time I get rid of the con crud that I'm inevitably going to suffer after CES, Severance season 2 is going to be popping up on my screen on the 17th of January. I could not be more excited about these two shows. I have not watched any of the trailers very intentionally because I want to enjoy them in their full glory as they occur, and I am very excited for both these shows.
Yeah, Squid Game, after being obtuse for so long or opaque for so long, finally gave some details. Severance, I think, did the right thing and gave us very, very little. Just a flash of this guy's in it, flash of this guy's in it. That's all you're getting.
There's they. I don't want to spoil it for Amos now that I know he hasn't seen it.
No,
but
no,
one detail. There's one detail.
Wait. He knows where it is. Wait.
Okay. Okay. In the trailer, they make it clear that there's been a time jump, and that he's been asleep for a few weeks,
for
a
minute.
few months.
Yeah.
And a bunch of things have now happened. And
okay.
It's like
that. It really sounds like you're just spoiling the trailer.
No,
Meanwhile, sounds like there's a Game of Thrones movie in the work. Early development over at Warner Brothers. Have you heard any details about this from the inside, Meryl?
I haven't heard any details about this because I think this is very much someone at Warner Brothers said, we should really do a Game of Thrones movie. And then that's where it stopped for the. I think in there, if I'm not mistaken, in the article it says they don't have a writer yet. Like they have to. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of. This is more of an announcement for the shareholders to be like, we are still doing Game of Thrones things. I promise.
Is there I know that we've talked about Warner Brothers has had a tumultuous year and that they were hoping for a big turnaround on Joker, and it doesn't look like they got it. Is there any gossip that you are comfortable sharing about Hollywood buzz? If the answer is no, that's okay.
No. The problem is that it's not Warner Brothers specific. The buzz in the town right now is everything is broken, right? The mantra, it's been in a couple articles, but I was actually hearing this from including business partners, like before it hit the trades, the term was survive to 25. Everyone looked at 2024 as a wash. Like we were coming out of the strikes, we were coming out of the bubble burst of streaming. The money is gone. Jobs. There was literally an article on THR today, or THR Variety, I think it was THR, titled, "Where did all the assistants go? You fired them all." That's where they went. A lot of I have had friends leave town. Like it's bad. And now the question is are we going to change it from survive to 25 to exist to 26? Or is it really, are we really going to see a comeback of the industry it's starting in next year. I mean, it's slow goings. There's a lot of shakeup happening right now, and so no one really knows what's gonna pop. No one knows what the big things are gonna be. Like Suits popped immediately. Universal said, "Great, new spinoff going to NBC," and there's gonna be Suits LA, in January. Like, so as far as this Game of Thrones movie, I think this is just an announcement to be like, we're doing things, right?
Is this just a temperature check?
I think, I mean, possibly. I mean, look, House of the Dragon is still on the air, so they have a temperature check active at the moment. But the real issue with this is really the issue with the Game of Thrones movie that they have to reconcile with. If it's not R-rated, it's not going to work. So it's one thing to put that on HBO, that's where big adult things live. Can you confidently say that you're going to pull out a Deadpool and Wolverine box office with Game of Thrones? Because that's the risk you're taking, right? Like, can you get a Deadpool level sized audience? Because in order to do a Game of Thrones movie, that's gonna be a $200 million movie.
If you're going straight to a big movie and you're making the jump to rated R, I don't see too many other paths outside of I would imagine that you would want to take the star power and the beloved characters from the HBO series and create Tyrion's Quest or something like that and make it a solo movie where you're like, what? There you are again, other characters.
This is inherently the problem they're going to face is if you don't, because you go from it's one thing if you have those characters and you throw a budget behind it and it's R-rated. There really isn't an R-rated fantasy film. That's not really a thing. That's why Game of Thrones was so revolutionary when it came out. But to do that theatrically it's a tough sell. Like a lot of, and that's not even, let's go beyond the gore and the language, right? And the sexual content. When you start entering the world of incestuous relationships, the way the show does, that's one thing on the show. Theatrically, it's always been a hard sell to do that theatrically in any genre. Like horror movies.
Well, I would imagine that they could steer clear of that particular subject if it and also
they love it so
characters.
much. Though.
They do. All right, moving forward. Good Omens made news when it was announced that there would be a third season. That third season will consist of a 90-minute movie. Neil Gaiman is still listed as executive producer, I believe, but is not actively working on it.
Yeah. So this is entirely clearly because of the Neil Gaiman stuff. Of course. They need to run away from it as quick as possible, but they're under contractual obligation to do stuff. But I find it hilarious that they have been pushing this as we are doing a 90-minute episode. That's our season. It's like, call it a movie. Please, for the love of God, call it a goddamn movie.
Yeah. In 2025, Amazon's going to stream an NBA game on Friday in addition to their NFL game. This is for their big Prime Day extravaganza. Also on December 9th, the Bengals-Cowboys game is going to be on ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, and NFL Plus with everything modified to make it look like it's The Simpsons. The quarterbacks will be transformed into Bart for the Cincinnati Bengals and Homer for the Dallas Cowboys. Last year, they turned everyone into Toy Story characters. Did you watch that Toy Story footage, the Toy Story-fied one?
I didn't.
I did not. I will say, in terms of gimmicks, I liked the idea of the gimmick broadcast. What I think I'm curious about, or what I want to see, is sports fans are now entering the realm entertainment fans just got out of, which is that everything's on different things. And you now need everything to watch everything if you want to be a completist. And that's I wonder how much that's going to last. This game's on Amazon. This game's on Netflix. This game's on ESPN Plus. This game's on Apple. This game's we're going to need to see consolidate. I wonder how much, because sports fans, they pay for things. So, how long is this going to be viable before someone finally goes, all right, we got to start collapsing this stuff?
Well, and it looks to these non-sportsy eyes that the effort is to, what's a way that we could get the kids and the rest of the family to watch with dad? Because that's what they're fighting, is that image of a tuned out dad holding a beer shouting at the Cowboys. Now the whole family can shout at the Cowboys.
Yes.
Well, I mean, they got the women on board last year with Taylor Swift unintentionally driving women to watch NFL. So Might as well
Yeah.
do something to get the kids involved too. Make it a family affair.
That tracks. Meanwhile, Apple's gonna adapt the classic educational game The Oregon Trail into a big budget movie. Will Speck and Josh Gordon from Blades of Glory, Office Christmas Party will direct and produce. The film will be written by Kenneth and Keith Lucas, but they're most recently best known for the 2021 drama Judas and the Black Messiah. It's going to be kind of a zany take. We're all going to be holding our breath to see who gets dysentery.
I'll tell you, when I think Judas and the Black Messiah, a wonderfully amazing biopic about Fred Hampton, I know that I immediately think Oregon Trail. Like, look, I'm making a joke. Like that's a bottom barrel joke. Writers can play in different genres, and maybe they're really funny, and I hope they are. It's just, I think what I'm more concerned about is, like, at this point, when you see these kind of headlines, I already expect it's like, oh, this is going to be a meta take on Oregon Trail. They're going to like know that they're in the Oregon Trail. And look, if you can, they made the D&D movie work. And if that can work, this can work. I have full faith that it can work. Will it work? Remains to be seen.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think the problem here is that you could either make this funny or you could make it real serious. But I think the middle ground is going to be too muddy for anybody to really enjoy.
No, you got to pick one. You got to pick a lane on that.
You got to kind of lean into an extreme on that one. But I'm curious to see where they take it.
Jumanji 3 is officially headed to theaters on December 11th, 2026, and it sounds like all the cast and the director will return. So not much to say on that
rejoiced.
one. Yeah.
I loved Welcome to the Jungle. No, is that whichever one was the not first / second one? The first one The Rock did. That one was great. Saw that in theaters. I still haven't seen 2, but I want to see 2. It's very much like, hey, if it ends up on the Netflix top 10, I'll definitely check it out. So yeah, this makes total sense. Especially, and it's good they announced it now, because the next movie from this team is Red One, because that's The Rock and the same director. Red One is the next movie they did together. So it's good they have this locked in, because that means whatever happens with Red One, which is a whole Red One is a sentence, like in terms of production of, like, it was a messy production. There have been stories written about it. The budget is through the roof. Whether or not it's a question of, like, has Amazon funded it? Whether or not it has to make its money back, and also, Brian, guess when the review embargo lifts for Red One? Just take a gander.
Oh no! That sounds like a setup where it can only be like at release or the day of release.
Tomorrow at midnight.
Wait, so it'll be buried amongst other news. Okay, all right.
Wow,
that's actually a savvy play. If you're just gonna slide that in. That's good. CBS is no longer going to broadcast the Grammys after 2026. ABC will broadcast the Music Awards along with Hulu and Disney Plus in 2027. Award shows are one of the last bastions of definitely live, engagement, appointment viewing.
I'm all for these changing networks as often as possible, just to keep a fresh eye on it, because they get so stale. Like the second year that a broadcaster is going to send this out, you already know what to expect, and there's just nothing there to entice me to watch. So I'm all for them rotating on a regular basis.
To me, this says to me what this really is about, and screams to me, is the Paramount cost cutting that's happening right now, because Paramount's just went through a merger, and so they are looking for ways to cut costs. And someone looked at crunched the numbers and said, are the because look, they could air the Grammys on Paramount Plus and co-stream with CBS the same way ABC is going to be doing here with Hulu and Disney Plus. But what I think someone looked at the numbers and said, or we could just not spend the money. And I think someone said, I think I'd rather not spend the money and put it somewhere else. That's clearly what happened here.
Well, let's do some hunting for buried treasure. Meryl, what's something that you've been watching that we should know about?
Well, since we were talking about Warner Brothers not having much of a comeback with Joker 2, let me tell you all, they are having a field day with the Penguin.
Is it really good?
You know what? I did not like the Batman. I thought it was too long. I thought it was way too up its own butt. But it was I'm glad y'all like it. I was not for me. Penguin is everything I wanted out of that movie. It is a very it's very dark. It is very gritty. It doesn't feel like it's trying to be too cool for school. Look at how many times, like in the movie, it felt like, how many times can Colin Farrell swear in a fat suit? And it felt like that was the joke. Here, it's like, no, he's like a dirty, grimy mobster. And the other fun thing about it that I really love in terms of its portrayal, and I'm saying Colin Farrell for a second, is it doesn't romance him. Like it doesn't do the Breaking Bad thing where it ignores the really grimy like horribleness surrounding what Walt is doing. No, you're not supposed to sympathize for Oz in the show. Some people do because he's the main character, but you're not supposed to sympathize with him. And then on top of that, you have Kristen Milotti playing Sophia Falcone in the comics known as the Hangman. And she's giving an Emmy-worthy performance, and they are doing so much to like. By the time you reach the current episode that they just did, you realize, oh, the show's about her. The show's about her rise to power and Oz becoming the king of the sewers. Like it's a wonderful show. Next week is the finale, so now is the time to catch up. Absolutely stunning. Top to bottom, Penguin is wonderful television. Please watch it.
Right on. Amos, what about you?
My wife convinced me to watch This Is Us with her. We're currently living remote from each other until hopefully the end of this month when she gets to move back up here. But we started watching it, and we're watching it 1 to 2 episodes a night, and then kind of talking about it a little bit. This Is Us. We're watching on Netflix, and it's really good. Like, it's got a lot of drama. It's got a lot of family ties, a lot of things that we can pull parallels with in our own experience. It's doing like a little time shifty thing that isn't immediately apparent, but flows in so well. Like the first episode, it kind of crashes down on you, and then every episode after that is like there's something to talk about with the people in your family, about your family, brought up by this show. And we're about halfway through the first season right now, and it is just remarkable. I love it. How about you, Brian?
The thing about it when it came out, and I remember the fervor around it. It was like the last grasp of hope for network television in the peak of the streaming era, where it did numbers. Like that show did real numbers, and it came out of left field for everyone, right? That twist in the end of the pilot, I know the one you're talking about. I don't want to spoil it. Is like everyone was like, "Whoa!" It was like, "Oh, soap still matters. People still want their soaps," and this is the new one, and everyone flocked to it. It did very well, and all I'm gonna say is, I know what you got coming ahead of you, and there's a joke I wish I could make right now. That's all right.
And I will say that Mandy Moore, what a treasure on screen. Like every time she's in something, I'm just impressed by her, and the rest of the cast is doing amazing as well.
Meanwhile, we were talking about how services will billboard their stuff right at the beginning. I forgot what the proximate cause was, but I told my device to turn on the TV, and then sure enough, there was a shining beacon of joy. The new season of Lower Decks. It's great. It's a great show. Still great.
I'll tell you, man, the same thing happened to me. I forgot it was coming out. Like, because they don't, it's the last season, so they clearly don't care about promoting it. Like, and so I forgot. And then I was like, oh, crap, it's out. Yay. Because I saw people tweeting about it. And I was like, yay. And then I went and watched it. I was like, oh God.
Feels good.
Yes, I really hate that we're getting only now at this point 7 more of these, and then that's it, and then it's gone forever.
It is so great, especially because like I've mentioned this on other programs, but for Calliope, this is all of Star Trek. This is all the Star Trek Callie has ever known, and I was like, hey, Lower Decks is back, and she's like, oh, right on. So it makes it extra special. It totally cheats. But of course, if anybody at home has something that we should be on the lookout for, email us at cordkillers@gmail.com. And this is the portion of the program where Tom and I take turns promoting stuff. I'm going to keep it real simple. Look, we're heading into the holidays. Get on that email list. gimme.scamstuff.com. You can win some free stuff. Amos, you get the emails, right?
I do, and I wouldn't sign up for the free stuff like that. It's happened to me. I've gotten some free stuff from it. I would sign up to see what you think is humorous in email form when you're on a deadline, because I know you're writing these emails at the last second, and every time there's some little nugget of surprise in there that I really enjoy reading.
Sometimes
with the filter, there's not enough time for any part of my brain to say, maybe rethink that. It's like, nope.
It's clearly missing a copy editor.
Yes.
Sometimes you'll get an email saying there's a great deal on an X, and you will buy that X and terrify every single person back at HQ. That is something that
wait, that was an ad for what?
you had put on sale the multi-tools you were trying to
that's
offload.
that's right. Yeah,
and I bought an axe, and the story goes that from across the room, or from across HQ, Brian could hear Annalise yell, "No, I don't want Meryl to own an axe."
Yeah, that's right. Yes, exactly. At any rate, that's gimme.scamstuff.com. Love keeping in touch with you guys. I read all of your responses. And let's take a moment and do some scanning of the horizon.
Send a scanning to aboard.
Scanning the horizon!
Netflix launched a feature called Moments that lets you bookmark a scene on mobile and save it to your My Netflix tab to watch again later. You can also share those scenes on other platforms like Instagram and Facebook. The feature is available on iOS Netflix app now and is coming soon to Android. Boy, we were talking about this kind of platform capture that everybody's trying to do. I don't know that I want to add to-do lists to my Netflix experience.
No. That's not the way I view this at all.
Okay.
This is beautiful. This is necessary.
Genius.
This is who could have used this? Quibi. This is absolutely the thing they needed 4 years ago. Look, think about how many. I can't tell you when I'm scrolling through TikTok and Instagram, how much, and YouTube Shorts, how much of that is just made up of people stripping out segments from old shows and plotting them on there. If you give people a one-click ability, like the ability, the way they do 30-second Twitch clips, to clip out a section and throw that up on their accounts, and I love that we're seeing this change in thought process on the issue of clips. There used to be a very real thing of, no, you can't clip anything, because what if someone were to clip out an entire movie and share it in 30-second chunks on their Twitter? And what if the people watch that? Like, we're finally moving away from this idiotic thinking that a 30-second clip is anything other than free marketing. Like, and all you're doing is incentivizing. Like, the only thing that can make it better is if they add in, like, when you post it, it automatically adds a link to your post of, like, here's the link to watch the full thing on Netflix right now. Like, This brilliant app's long overdue.
I will take this from another view. My wife watched, she's watched several shows since we've lived apart, the last 3 years that we've lived apart. There's been many times where she's been like, I want you to, you'll never watch this show, but I want you to see a few parts of it. And for her to have an easy way to share that with me, just directly from the streaming service, or I could just log into Netflix and see, oh, she's got this one saved and this one saved, and I can just watch the 3 or 4 scenes she wants me to see. Fantastic. And to make that shareable into other social media platforms with the Netflix branding on it, and like you said, a link back to where you can see it on Netflix, whatever. Cool. But the shareability just between people in your own household, you can, I think that alone is awesome. I think that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Netflix and Universal have expanded their deal to include live action films as well as animated movies from DreamWorks and Illumination. The additional movies begin to arrive in 2027. Movies are going to appear on Peacock at first, then Netflix gets them exclusively for 10 months after, which then they'll return to Peacock.
I mean, it's so funny how this is something I was talking about years ago when I would first started appearing on this show, and we're just finally getting there of We're returning the walls are coming down. The walls have come down in some cases, and finally these streamers and the studios are going back to what used to work, which was licensing things to each other, bringing in new revenue. You're not going to make money by hoarding your material. You have to sell it out and then get fresh money in to make new stuff. This is the ecosystem that the entire entertainment business was built on for 100 years, and we're just finally going back to it.
Amos, you'll be shocked by this news. You were here when we were talking about the click to cancel rule from the U.S. FTC. Well, it turns out that NCTA, the Internet and Television Association, has filed a lawsuit late last week in the Fifth Circuit, claiming that the new rules, these are the rules that say if you want to subscribe people very easily, you need to make it easy for them to unsubscribe as well. But they called these rules arbitrary, onerous, capricious, and an abuse of the industry's existing authority. The Interactive Advertising Bureau, IAB, also joined the lawsuit. Do you think this is a real thing, or do you think they're just making the appropriate noise that they have to?
I don't even know at this point. Like it makes so much sense that someone had to fight it, and it doesn't surprise me that everyone seems to be fighting it. It just, like I said, it makes too much sense. So
well, I mean, look, number one, they have to fight it too. They're not going to not fight it. They would love this to not happen. Like, they would love it for cancellation to continue to be complicated, but not even the streamers. So do we know if this extends out to like cable companies? Like, will this make it so I can no longer have to deal with the rigmarole of canceling my cable?
No. This is specifically internet-based subscriptions, and
I guess wait, does that include my internet itself though?
Yeah, this is. Let me direct you to the past year of us discussing this on Cordkillers. Meanwhile, Peacock subscribers increased 29% year over year, and revenue went up by 82%. They added 3 million paid subscribers in the third quarter to reach 36 million total. Meryl, do you know anything about, like, is there any one thing that this is attributed to, or just?
I would assume it's attributed to the Olympics more than anything else, because this is like the first year they had like a strong Olympics presence. Like, yeah, they had a good one in 22, but this is like, and in 2021, but like this is like I don't watch the Olympics. I watched the Olympics because it was so easy to use, but also this boy, again, another case point of the thing I said in 2020, which was Peacock's a player, now coming to fruition. Only took 4 years.
I mean,
pandemic.
To keep in mind, like, Hollywood so loved the blip that they resubscribed. As soon as we got out of the pandemic, they're all like, and also we're going on strike. 2 more years.
Yeah. So this, look, Peacock has a very good platform. I think they are doing a lot to build it up. I think there's still a lot to be desired in their entertainment division, but the one thing that they offer that they were ahead of the curve on, and to their credit, was news and sports. And they really went hard in being like, we are going to offer news and sports. We are prioritizing live in a way everyone else isn't. And now look, everyone else is catching up. Amazon invested in live. Netflix, Mr. We're never doing sports. NFL game this Christmas. Like WWE this January. Like, and by the way, Peacock, what is the home of PLEs in WWE? WWE PLEs in the United States. And now Netflix is going to have it everywhere else. Like, Peacock was right, turns out. Peacock's business model was exactly right.
I'm not in until Peacock starts showing NASCAR races on Peacock instead of keeping them to USA Network.
They had they've got the derbies. Like, bro, it's only a matter of time. Like,
meanwhile, Roku beat estimates in its earnings forecast, but forecast a slowdown this quarter. Roku reported streaming households of 85.5 million, a net increase of 2.0 million from Q2 and up 13% year over year. It's going to follow Netflix and stop reporting streaming numbers and instead focus on dollars. It's going to continue to report streaming hours, however. The streaming hours for Q3 totaled 32 billion, up from 20% year over year. This was interesting to me because I have noticed a less infatuation with views, because that is increasingly an unhelpful metric. Like, what does it mean to view something in a world where we have 1 minute chunk of content And
Yeah.
and people only watch a percentage of that 1 minute.
I mean, also this whole thing of like 32 billion streaming hours, and like I don't think that refers to your Roku originals. I think that I'm assuming that refers to people streaming items through the platform in general, right? Like, and so all you've told me there is yes, you remain the dominant global leader in preferred platform for streaming, of which that is a small market to begin with.
Cool. Well, here we're heading around the bend here. Let's see what the chatter is.
You've got mail. Richard Gunther wrote in and said, wait, we're not supposed to say sports ball anymore. Why? What did I miss? Sports ball perfectly expresses my lack of interest and understanding in all the sports, particularly those using balls. Yes, I think it's because everybody has heard that now that they're all tired of it. They're like, we get it. You don't like sports balls. Stop calling it sports ball.
It still encapsulates it. I'm still okay with it. Like,
this is the first time hearing that it's controversial. Screw you. I'm keeping it.
Okay, all right.
Me, Meryl, and Richard, we're keeping it.
That works. Chad writes in saying, hey, Brian and Tom, a longtime fan of Brian's work about talking cons, deception, and the like. I wanted to recommend the latest reboot of Matlock for a couple of reasons. Number one, it addresses the fact that it's a reboot in a unique way. Number two, each episode has a subplot involving a unique con that has been playing out in each episode in addition to the main legal story. At the end of each episode so far, they do a replay of the significant parts of the episode that explain the subplot, which happened right before the eyes of the viewer. Sort of like explaining the mechanics of a magic trick after The Prestige. I do love a good magic trick disguised as TV show, so I'm totally a mark for things like this. While it's hardly Breaking Bad levels of drama, it's pretty clever comfort viewing, and Kathy Bates does a great job selling it. Just thought you might want to check it out. That sounds great. Kathy Bates is a true talent, and Matlock, there's a reason it's a beloved American institution, but man, oh man, do I love that moment when you reveal what's been happening in front of people's eyes the entire time.
Do you know the baseline premise of the reboot?
I don't. Should I go in not knowing it?
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's that the Matlock show exists in that universe.
Oh, so the TV show Andy Griffith Matlock exists.
TV show exists in the universe,
and she happens to have the last name Matlock.
I don't know the details on that specifically, but it is the premise is that the show exists, and this is like someone, and there's reference to be like, is she doing is she like that old show? Like that is a line in the pilot.
Oh,
like,
that's funny. That's great.
Okay. I mean, other than that, it's just the Murder She Wrote / Matlock formula, right?
It's still it's a CBS murder mystery.
And it works. So I can see it being good. All right.
And as we continue to tweak and test our full experience, that's the first, ultimate, lowest rated, and last episode of any given series, we got a message from Mike, who chimes in on the question of Scrubs. Hi, friends. Just wanted to chime in on the full experience for Scrubs. I wrote to suggest Scrubs as a full watch way back when you first started taking suggestions. It's easily my favorite show and would be a great watch. That said, I have to state emphatically that season 9, he puts in scare quotes, it really is a different show and shouldn't be considered to be part of the main story. This sounds like a health advisory. There are a few characters who carry over, but it really is a spinoff. You'd be doing yourself a disservice by not watching the actual series finale, as the main show really stuck the landing. Well, thank you very much, Mike, and we continue to solicit all of you all of your suggestions for the next full experience, which I believe next week we're going to be starting the Sheild. Is that right, Amos?
I believe so. Yeah, that is the plan. Well, not next week, the week after, because next week we're off for holiday.
I would be remiss if I did not say now would be the time to finally cover Supernatural. I think that because there is a very clearly most lowest rated episode of that show that everyone universally hates, including the creator of the show.
The belt! Meryl almost made it! And you were trying so hard. You were trying so hard. It was really great.
Again, year and a half. I have not been here for a year and a half.
It's been a minute.
No, I
In
gotta
fact,
go dive in
literally
on
today, I was debating what my opening gag was going to be, and it was either going to be the return of Meryl Barr is the most important news story for the next 24 hours, or it was going to be so I can say,
Yeah, of course. Well, I appreciated the effort. It was really great. But Supernatural is your suggestion
Yeah,
for the full
100%.
experience.
100%.
Isn't it like 43 seasons long though? I don't know.
Yeah, but the joke is that, like, okay, first of all, first episode and the last episode, it's hilarious because the last episode is a denouement that literally harkens back to the earlier seasons of the show. So you don't even have to know the mythology at all. But the worst episode happens early enough on, and you're just like, huh? Because it's called Bugs, and it's like, huh? Wow, yeah, I see how. Like, to the point where they made a joke about it in later episodes when they got really meta with the show. They made a joke about how bad the episode was.
Oh, that's fun. All right. Well, if you guys have emails, and we do read every single one of them, we appreciate them so much. Hit us up at cordkillers@gmail.com. Thank you very much, Meryl Barr. Where should people go to follow your adventures?
So I used to say go to Twitter, but I don't know what social platform matters anymore. Go to merylbar.com. I will forward it to whatever social media platform I think is more important for you to follow me on. At
Wherever
that given
you
moment.
are.
Wherever I decide you
It really
you should
is,
go.
man. It's like we're back in the old days now. It's
really
crazy.
Really
Meanwhile, our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. We're live on twitch.tv/nightattack Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. I reckon we'll talk to you guys next time.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.